Hello everyone, in this video we're gonna talk about the main characteristics and differences between animals, plants, fungi, protists, bacteria, and viruses. So before we get started, you should know that those are called the 5 kingdoms of life, and that's because they contain all the living organisms. And you might ask why viruses are excluded from the kingdoms of life. You're gonna see later in this video that viruses are not living organisms. That's why they weren't included inside anything related to the kingdoms of life. So before hopping into the main differences between each of those, you need to know first that animals, plants, fungi, and protists are called eukaryotes, while bacteria are called prokaryotes. The term eukaryote is derived from the Greek words eu, meaning real or true, and karyon, meaning kernel. Together it means true nuclei, while prokaryote means before nuclei. And by saying those are eukaryotes, we mean that they are made up of eukaryotic cells that have some things in common, such that those cells contain a nucleus, and the DNA is found inside that nucleus in the form of chromosomes, while prokaryotic cells have a simpler structure that doesn't contain a nucleus. So the DNA of a prokaryotic cell is found loose in the cytoplasm. Viruses, on the other hand, are neither prokaryotic nor eukaryotic. They are not made up of cells, so they are not alive. And when it comes to comparing sizes, we find that eukaryotic cells are typically larger. They tend to be 10 to 100 times the size of prokaryotic cells, while prokaryotic cells are 10 to 100 times the size of viruses. So let's start talking about each one of those, and we're gonna start with animals. And since you know much about animals, you're not gonna find many new things here. Although it's difficult to know the exact number of existing animal species, it's known that there are more than 8 million different animal species, ranging between humans, birds, insects, fish, reptiles, and so on. So what are exactly the common things between all animals? Well, we have 3 common things. First, we call them multicellular. That means each organism is made up of loads of cells and not just one cell. For example, you, as an adult human, you have nearly 40 trillion cells in your body. The second common thing between all animals is that they are heterotrophs. That means they acquire their energy from other organisms. Just as you do when you eat plants and other animals, so you provide your body with the required energy. And just as that frog having a fly as a delicious snack. The third common thing between animals is that they all reproduce sexually. That means there is always a sperm fertilizes an egg, producing an offspring. Now let's move to plants. You know much about this kingdom as well, and it includes more than 300,000 species, ranging between trees, palms, flowers, grass, vegetables, and so on. Plants are multicellular as well. That means they are made up of many different cells. Yet we refer to plants as autotrophs, which comes from the Greek words auto, meaning self, and troph, meaning feeding or food. And as you can remember, that animals were heterotrophs, and hetero means other. So plants as autotrophs, they don't need other organisms for food. They can produce their own food by photosynthesis process. And that process will be explained in a different video, but for now just know that plants use sun, water, and carbon dioxide to create oxygen and energy in the form of carbohydrates. Now moving to the next kingdom, fungi. And this one is kinda more difficult because fungi are not unified. Some of them are multicellular and others are unicellular. 2 examples of multicellular fungi are the mushrooms you might eat and molds that grow on food. And an example of unicellular fungi is yeast, which we use in our bakeries. And by saying unicellular, we mean each cell is a single organism. You might notice that some fungi look like plants, but the key difference is that fungi can photosynthesize. So, how exactly do they acquire their energy? Well, they acquire their energy from other organisms, just as animals do. Shall we call them heterotrophs as well? No, we better call them saprotrophs. And the word sapro means dead, so they feed by saprophytic nutrition, by which they take in nutrients in solution from dead and decaying matter. In such process, fungi produce digestive enzymes on food outside their bodies, waiting for the enzymes to break up their food and then absorb the nutrients produced from that breakup into their bodies. Another thing characterizes fungi is that multicellular ones have mycelium, which is a root-like structure consisting of a mass of thread-like hyphae. Such structure serves as a network for the fungi to transfer nutrients and distribute it all over its body. Keep in mind that some fungi are pathogens. That means they can cause diseases to humans, such as pneumocysts that cause pneumonia. The fourth kingdom we're gonna talk about is protists. Mostly all protists are unicellular, but there are many varieties between species. For example, Chlorella and Euglena have chloroplasts, just as plants do. So yes, they can photosynthesize. While amoeba are like animals, they use other organisms to obtain energy. Most protists don't cause harm to humans, but few of them are pathogens and can cause diseases, such as Plasmodium that cause malaria. Now let's move to bacteria. And all you can find here is lots of interesting information that we're going to talk about in a different video. But you must know that bacteria are single-celled organisms that live anywhere. On your skin, inside your intestines, in soil, oceans, and everywhere else. Some species can photosynthesize, but no bacteria species has chloroplasts. And most bacteria feed off other organisms, whether they're living, like us, or dead, like fallen leaves. A few of them can cause diseases such as salmonella that cause food poisoning, but most of them has nothing to do with humans. In the matter of fact, many are helpful, just as bacteria inside our intestines that help us digest our food. Finally, we have viruses. We call them tiny particles because they are non-living and they don't have cells. Viruses have too many different structures, so we can't generalize a specific one. But the basic structure of a virus is a genetic material, either it is DNA or RNA, surrounded by a protein coat. Viruses can only reproduce inside living cells, so they must enter inside any living organism, whether it is an animal, plant, protists, fungi, or bacteria, and it uses its cells to reproduce, so we call them parasites. All viruses are pathogens. They are the bad guys here. And there are many examples of them causing diseases like influenza, HIV, and COVID-19. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to watch more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll answer them all. Goodbye and see you in the next video.